Hey, welcome to this episode of the Smart Leaders Sell podcast. I'm Jess, a sales coach and leadership expert, and I'm really excited to announce that we are changing things up. We're changing things up on the podcast. So this is a new Friday episode as part of a new series where we're going to be talking to real life entrepreneurs who are not me, who are people that can give you an insight into what their sales process used to look like, what it looks like now, and how the journey's been, and what the real story is behind it. Because it's all very well and good me giving you advice, but sometimes it's a little bit sickening and everyone just thinks, well, Jess, it's okay for you because you're a sales ninja. I'm not, but I'd love to be. And then it means that you don't get all of the real sides of the story. So today I've brought on one of my favorite people who has been on the podcast before, the lovely Tina McDonald, who's going to share her real journey when it comes to sales and share the highlights, the lowlights, and everything in between. So welcome back.
Thank you very much.
And thanks for being the first person to do it.
To come back. I must have been okay.
I know. Your episode was very popular.
Obviously.
Famous. So I'm really excited for you to come back and actually talk about what life and things look like now. We'll kind of dig into it, but let's give everybody a reminder of who you are and what you do.
Okay, so kind of formal title is that I'm a business trainer and youth career coach. Managed to get it down to less than 37 words. And what I basically do is I go into medium-sized companies and do your leadership training. So you have things like your time management, presentation skills, negotiation skills, that kind of thing. So that's the kind of bread and butter. That's what brings in the money. But as a side to that, what I do, mostly voluntary, is I go into youth centres, education centres, and help young people between 16 and sort of 24 kind of find a career. So those that aren't necessarily going to go straight into university, their careers aren't planned out for them, and they're not necessarily hitting their grades from the GCSE, and they kind of feel like there is nothing for them. I spend some time with them, help them find their potential and realise that they are still considered the youths of our future and our future leaders and all of that kind of thing. They just need to have a little bit of understanding about the corporate world to know where they fit. So that's what I'm doing at the moment, which is really exciting.
And it is exciting because obviously, you're one of the people that when people come to me and they say, is it possible to make money in a non-money making niche? You're one of the people I would say, well, actually, yes. Because I think one of the common misconceptions that we all have is, if you're not making money, people are going to be less likely to buy, and I know that was one of your things when we originally met. You were like, but is it going to be easier for me to sell making money? And we talked about it, and the reality is that actually it's more important to be selling what you're passionate about.
Yeah, and the funny thing was I spent months trying to sell things that people wanted to buy and made no money at all. And when I stopped caring and did the things I loved, I started making money. And I know that's what you told me, and I didn't listen to start with. But when I kind of went, you know what, actually, I'm just going to do what I love. And I remember having a conversation with you where I said, I'm just going to do it voluntary. I'm not going to charge anybody. And then like a week later, I was like, oh my God, I'm making money. Well, how's this happened? It's almost like the mind shifted and then something happened, which was really cool because obviously then the money started coming in.
Which we like. We like money. So
we do.
Let's kind of go back, I don't know, a year and talk about where did you start? In terms of sales, let's look at business overall. And in terms of your sales process, where were you a year ago?
Okay, so real honesty, a year ago, I wasn't making any money at all. It was really I was selling and no one was buying. So it was like a really crappy fishing day. You kind of go out and you're sat there, you've got all the right worms, all the right bait. I had the felt pens, I had the markers, I had the flip charts, I had all of that stuff. And I could spend all day on the phone speaking to companies and nothing would happen. And I would read sales books and I would go on the internet and I would download God knows how many free opt-ins on how to do sales right and everything else. And it didn't matter what I did, those conversations never turned into a sale. And it was really disheartening because I just stopped doing my one-to-one coaching. I decided that's not what I wanted to do. And so I'd stopped what was earning a little bit of money and I'd gone to earning nothing at all because no one was biting. There was no fish out there. I wasn't selling a thing. And it was really hard because you naturally look at yourself when things go wrong. You don't look at it as being, okay, the people I'm selling to might be the wrong people. You instantly go, I'm crap at sales. It's me. I can't do this. And I was saying, well, I'm not a natural salesperson. And, I've never been very good at sales. I'm too nice for sales. And all of the other excuses that, you don't realize at the time are those barriers. They feel normal. They feel like real life reasons why you can't make the business work. And in real honesty, a year ago, I'd had a conversation with my husband where I'd given myself 2 months to make it work, or I was giving it all up.
And that's really hard. And, I really appreciate your honesty, because a lot of people wouldn't have the steel ovaries, to put it frankly, to be like, yeah, actually, this is what it looked like. Because I think, especially in the online entrepreneurship space, everyone gets a little bit carried away with, we have to have things looking a certain way, and we have to portray that business is going a certain way and that our brand is being built a certain way. And the reality is that 99.9% of entrepreneurs, unless you've been super, super lucky, at some point, whether they've been making money or not making money, have wanted to jack it in.
Yeah. And you go online and it's the best and the worst thing you can do. So you join these groups and you go onto Facebook and you're following all these wonderful people who are telling you about their 6 figures that they're earning, are doing Facebook Lives from their mansion outside their Rolls Royce. And, and they're selling hats for cats. And I'm thinking, how on earth are you making £50 billion selling woolly hats for cats? And I can't sell a business that actually is really worth selling, that has got some real potential to it, that people can actually benefit from it. And you think, well, it must be me, because I've downloaded their opt-in and I bought their course and I bought their book, and I still don't have a Rolls Royce and a mansion and doing Facebook Lives from Maui or wherever it might be. It's you do start to go, it's me. And that's, it's really hard when you're the person that's the thing that's wrong with the process.
And I think as well, it makes us really defensive, because we then we start valuing ourselves, or we look at our self-worth and we judge it by how much we're bringing in financially. And that becomes really difficult. And then I think it also makes us more resistant to trying new things, because we automatically have that thing in our head that says, well, that's not going to work either.
Yeah.
And I think that that's probably where, your journey, that's where I met you.
Yeah, that's where you were kind of my lifeline. So I was a member of your free group at the time, and I'd watched all of the videos, and I'd, started to comment and taken part in a couple of challenges and all of that kind of thing. And then you'd opened up your Dotties, and I'd had a conversation with a couple of people, and they were sort of like, oh, you should do this. And I thought, what is the point of me joining a membership group that is going to cost me money when I'm not earning anything? I don't have money to waste doing something else that's going to cost money. And it seemed like it was a stupid idea, I couldn't see any reason why, if I explained it to my husband, I've not made any money for 6 months. Can I join this membership group that's going to cost such and such per month? And maybe that might work, because he's going to go, no, just get your ass out of it. It will work,
I can see Chris's face.
Yeah. But obviously that's not his way. And he's like, no, go for it. If you think it's going to work, then, because he's lovely and supportive and, and I'm very lucky. I could have been very unlucky with having somebody who said, well, no, actually, start making some bacon, or, don't get yourself a proper job. I've got my inverted commas there that you can't see on a podcast.
One day we'll do a video. One day.
Yeah.
But it is the kind of thing, and that's the point that you were at. And I remember us having conversations, and it's funny for me, because I look back and I'm like, I know I say this to you, I'm like, there's Tina 2.0 and then there's the original. And I remember how difficult it was for you to make the decision to join the Dotties. And I was like, if it's the decision you make, we'll all support you 100%, regardless of whether you're yes or no. And I remember you coming in and being like, right, okay, what do I do now? And that's kind of where you were, and then it was, I need to make money. And we were like, right, okay, maybe throw out some ideas. And how did that feel? Because like you said, you'd already read the books. you'd been doing the work, you'd been doing the cold calling, and things hadn't worked. So what was it like coming in and really having to put all that aside and try and give it a go?
It was probably the easiest part of the journey, because it's one of those things where I'm the sort of person, once I've made a decision to do something, I'm all in. So if I'm going to join a group, you're going to get 100% of me in group mode. So once I'd actually decided that I was going to join the Dotties, that was me. I was a member, and I'd given myself till Christmas to make some money. So I had a deadline date. So it's almost like I had my KPI in front of me and the corporate hat was on. I was like, right, I've got to make something work. And I remember the welcome post, kind of like, let us know why you're here and what you want. And I remember kind of thinking, I don't know now. I want to make my business work. And then I kind of thought, right, do you know what? I'm just going to be me, let everybody know what they're going to get up front. And I remember saying, and I don't know if I can use the word, but I said, I used to be a dick and now I want to make it work. And that was the kind of, I've been not doing this properly. I've been playing at having a business because I don't actually know how to run a business. Mm-hmm. So really what I need from you guys right now is to tell me every step of the way when I start to go wrong, but let me make the journey. What I didn't want was a million pieces of advice all in one day, all in one post, and you need to be on Facebook, you need to be on LinkedIn, you need an opt-in and you need this, because that's way overwhelming. I just wanted to be able to post one day and go, I'm doing this, and then everyone would go, whoa, no, that's a shit idea, or yeah, that's great, how are you going to do it? And so it was a toe in the water, really. And I remember my first 2 weeks, all I did was comment on other people's things and kind of go, right, I wanted to see what everybody else was like, what they're doing. I did all the little cheerleading. It's where I found my love for gifts. And I just wanted to see who in the group I could listen to. Mm-hmm. And then that's obviously when we realised that everybody is worth listening to in the group. And then it just literally came from there. It was I've got an opportunity to do this. What do I do? And I got all this fantastic advice on how to structure my email. And it was kind of what I'd done before, but there was one or two little things that were different, just either the timing or the follow-up. I remember the follow-up being, the thing I was like, oh yeah, that's a clever idea. Actually ring them back. That works. And it was those kind of things where, and then having that accountability, some of the guys in the group saying, come back and tell us what you've done and how it went. And then it was like, oh crap, actually I've got to do this now. I've got to reply to that email. So you'd go away and you'd do it, and then you'd come back with okay, I've done it. And then you'd get this mountain of support and well done's and everything else. And it gave you that confidence to do the next one and the confidence to do the next one. And then the confidence to take on the next opportunity. And before you knew it, you were kind of taking on and putting yourself out there more and more in the right places, because people are saying, right, well, why are you hanging out on Pinterest? I'm like, I don't know. Somebody told me to. Yeah, but that's not really where you want to be, is it? No. Then why are you in it? Okay, I'll come out of it. And it was like, duh. So you kind of, and then you talk about these other things. And I remember having a conversation about LinkedIn and people going, well, if you love it, why aren't you in there more? Yeah, no, that's true. And
that's the thing, isn't it? Let's talk about that, because when you first came into the Dotties, you were doing everything. Like, you had a Facebook group, you were doing stuff, you were doing business stuff, you were on lots of different platforms, you were in a ton of different groups.
I was on everything, doing everything badly.
But this is the thing, and this is like one of the myths that I see often in the online world. Everyone's like, you have to be everywhere. And I'm like, oh. And as somebody who's naturally pretty lazy and pretty introverted, I'm kind of like, well, I don't really want to be everywhere. I'll go, I'll go in one or two places and I'll make a real effort there, but that's it. That's kind of your lot. And I remember us having like our first Dottie call and you telling me all these things that you were doing. And I was like, Christ, you're doing more than I am every day. And that was like, you're doing more than I am. I'm kind of sat here with my cup of coffee and chilling, and you're on all these platforms and in all these places. And that was one of the first things that I remember you doing in the Dotties, was actually looking and streamlining where you were and what you wanted to do, and really thinking about, okay, what do I want to do? Who do I want to serve? How do I want to sell?
Yeah, and it was almost kind of that chunking back, wasn't it? I remember sort of saying, right, well, where am I going to find the people I want to work with? Where are they hanging out? And then literally just dumping off the stuff that wasn't going to happen. And I remember the challenge we did about where we had to go through and unsubscribe from things. And I came in and it was ridiculous. I unsubscribed from something like 200 places that I was getting emails from every day. And I left 15 groups, and it was just stupid, that I was in all of these places and all I had to do was think about the places that I didn't like hanging out and leave. And it was like, I came in and people were going, oh, I've unsubscribed from 15. And I'm thinking, I've just unsubscribed from 200. Either I'm really wonderful or I'm doing something seriously awful and spending a lot of time wasting my time. And that's what I was doing. I was trying to be everything to all people. And my mum always says, you're a jack of all trades means you're a master of none. And that's what I was doing. I was trying to be the Pinterest queen, trying to be the Facebook queen, trying to do Facebook Lives, run a group, have a page. And I ended up not doing any of it really well enough to be visible or to stand out. And I got a bit half-hearted because you post a couple of things in Facebook and my mum would like it and that would be it. And I'd have to kind of run upstairs and say to the kids, can you go on Facebook and just like my page? And they're like, oh, if I have to, mum. Because it was just, I wanted at least more than just my mum to have liked my post, And then I don't have to do that anymore. None of that is anything I have to do now. I don't have to search for credibility anymore. I post something and the right people see it and I get great engagement because I'm saying the right things to the right people. And the way we said before was not to change what I'm doing, but to change the audience I'm showing it to. And that was the moment I think my whole business took that complete turn.
And that's huge because, one of the things that I always like hearing from people is, what was your big breakthrough? And for you, that really was it. There was nothing else that needed to change. It was just the case of, where are you going to be that's actually going to produce this ROI? And we kind of talked about it and you were like, right, I really like LinkedIn and I want to work with businesses. And you had people in the Dotties saying, well, if you like spending time there, why not? And you did this really scary thing. You were like, right, okay, I'm going to come away from Facebook, which is the platform of choice for pretty much everyone out there when they're starting.
Closed my group. You
closed your group, you announced it to people and you were like, right, I'm going to go hell for leather on LinkedIn. And I remember you being like, oh, I'm not sure how this is going to go. But you almost had like this, I've got nothing to lose attitude. And that made a massive, massive difference. So let's kind of talk about that breakthrough moment, because that is a scary thing to do. When everyone else is doing one thing and they're telling you, yeah, you need to be on Facebook, you need to be on Pinterest, you need to be on this, you need to be on that. And you're like, oh, actually those things aren't working for me. I'm going to go and do this instead. It's uncomfortable.
It is. And I've always been a little bit kind of, I like to be different. So, I wore flares when everyone else was wearing skinny jeans. I've always been the person that kind of like, oh, you're all doing that, I'm going to do something different. But I couldn't do that in my business because there was too much risk. It was like, what if, I didn't want the family to not be able to have a holiday because I decided to do something a little bit different and stupid. But when you have the conversations with people like yourself and other people in business where you're kind of saying and you're sort of spitballing ideas and they agree with you, it gives you that little bit of confidence that actually it's not a stupid idea and actually this might work. Mm-hmm. And then when, like you say, when there is nothing to lose, there's no reason not to do it. And one of the big things that I had was, because I was in this period of time where this doesn't work, I'm giving it all in anyway, then I have to be able to, at the end of it, when I walk away from my business, say, I tried everything. And if I'm saying I tried almost everything, but I didn't try LinkedIn, well, then I didn't try hard enough. So when I first posted LinkedIn, I was like, right, the worst that's going to happen is all of my old friends from work are going to laugh at me. Well, do you know what? It's online. I'm not going to see it. The worst is people might unfollow me. Okay, that's not really like them knocking on my door and telling me they don't like me. It is just unfollow. And once you shift this kind of fear of being online unliked, it becomes quite easy to do stuff. And then you share a few things and people like it and people then start to follow you and you get a message saying, oh, I've been told to follow you because this is really good. You start to forget the people who are unfollowing you and you start to work with the people that are there with you. And that's really important because it's about, okay, these 10 people like what I'm doing, I'm going to post for them. The 5 people that walked away, well, they're not going to see what I'm doing anyway. And it's much easier to almost take those risks, but do what you love doing when you've decided, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's, there's, in business, we're too much, and I know they have the kind of imposter syndrome kind of name for it and things, but we almost go online wanting to be everybody's friend.
Mm-hmm.
And, we show up on Facebook Lives with amazing hair and our nails painted and everything else because we want people to think we're wonderful and amazing and everything else. But actually what people want is the truth. So when you show up online and you have I don't care if you like me, this is my opinion, you end up with the people who think like you following you. And the people that think like you will like you. And as you always say, you buy from people that you like. So you start to get rid of all of those people that are never going to buy from you anyway, that you were trying to show up for. And you're left with a much bigger group of people who do want to see you every day and do want to see you do well and do want to see what you've got to say. And then it becomes really easy to show up online.
And this is the thing, isn't it? Because, I mean, I say this and I laugh because I'm like, I say this to people all day, every day. You can make just as much money doing what you like as what you don't like, so you might as well pick something you like.
Yep.
Once you get over that initial fear of, people not liking you, people not agreeing with you, actually it becomes a lot easier and you don't really care anymore. But again, it's easy for me to say because I'm on the other side. So when I look back, when I say to people, I do remember what it was like. I do remember thinking, oh gosh, what if people don't like me? What if people do take things the wrong way? What if people do think I'm a complete arse or whatever?
But people don't believe you because you're successful.
Yes.
So because you're doing well, people like that, you're just saying that.
Exactly.
Because, that's your opt-in and that's how you're, and all of that kind of thing. But actually, and I've ate the humble pie. You actually follow the process and listen to the advice, she says begrudgingly, things do happen and they do start going well. And I think unless you, and you have to be careful that you don't kind of look like you're doing this whole vulnerability post of I came from a bad background and now I'm successful. But actually, when things you aren't making any money and your business is kind of looking like it's not going to happen and you don't have anything to lose anymore, so you do stop caring and just start doing, that's when everything that you're saying actually happens and people will believe you because they've been on that journey and they've seen it. Mm-hmm. So all of the Dotties and the people that are in my LinkedIn and everything else, they saw that first post. So they know that's what really happened. Whereas I think with some of the people that are following you maybe now, they've just met you now. And it's like, well, you would say that because you're making all of this money and you've got, gold dots behind you.
And gold dots indicate cash. I'm just trying to put that out there. Gold dots mean that I never ever struggled in business.
No, of course not.
Each gold dot just represents all the success.
Yeah. If you've got branding, then it was easy for you, obviously.
And this is the thing, and I think we also have to look at attitude because, you came into the Dotties and like you said, you gave it 100% from the get-go. Now, there are people who buy courses every day. There are people who join memberships every day. There are people who hire one-to-one coaches every day who, and we're going to talk about your successes in a minute because there are just thousands to list, but there are people who do these things and they don't make it work. And I remember the first thing that we all said to you in the Dotties was, and I was very kind of vociferous about this, was that you are not allowed to call yourself a dick anymore. I was like,
no, that word was banned.
Yeah, that word was banned for Tina. I don't actually think I've heard you use it since. Like,
no.
I've heard you use a lot of words, but that's not
that's not the one I use anymore.
But it's that kind of thing. And we, that was the one thing when you came into the Dotties that we all said to you, if anything was going to stop you, it was the way you felt about yourself.
Yeah.
Not about anything else. And so you came in and you really did like a 360 overnight when it came to your attitude about you and who you were and giving it 100%. You were like, right, I'm in, I'm going to do the work, I'm going to listen to every piece of feedback, I'm not going to take things personally, I'm just going to do. Do you think that that's, that really impacted how quickly things shifted for you?
I think me personally, definitely. Mm-hmm. I think it's not so much a case of that because I started doing the work things moved quicker because the work happened faster. But certainly by having the mindset of being an action taker, it meant that when things came up, I didn't dawdle on them. So when there was a journo request, I applied right now. I didn't take 3 days to think about it, which meant that I was one of the first, possibly even the very first person. Like, the journalists probably didn't even switch off their Twitter before I was like, me, how about me? Because I'd been double dared by you guys to actually, log on and do it. It was like, right, if I'm going to do it, I might as well just do it before I think about it and talk myself out of it. So then, because you're the first person to comment, you're the first person to get a response. Because you're the first person to get a response, you're the first person to have a conversation. By the time the other people that have taken 3 days to reply have come in, that space has been filled because you've taken it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, how things happen so fast, because there wasn't time for thinking and dwelling. And, I didn't spend 15 days trying to make sure that my copy was perfect. I just said, I would love to do this. Please, can you consider me? And then they were like, oh my God, that's, you're really enthusiastic about it. And please stop knocking at my door and I'll give you the position, kind of thing. And because I'd followed up, I was doing my second follow-up when some people were doing their first introduction.
And that is the thing, speed in business is key.
Yeah.
In anything, if you want to be successful, it's okay to suck at something. It's okay not to have the most perfect branding. It's okay to not put the most perfect introduction together. It's okay to not be or not achieve perfection in that first instance. But the sheer fact that you do it and that you do it fast means that you do monopolize a lot of the reactions when it comes to, opportunities, when it comes to selling something different, when it comes to working with people. And I don't think people always see that. I think we always wait for it to be right, wait for the stars to align, wait for the perfect tagline, the perfect image. And the reality is that those things are nice to have. They're not the crux of how you build your business. They're not the crux of how you become successful. And they're not the crux behind, if I don't have these things, I can't sell anything, I can't make money. And that's huge, isn't it? Because I think so often we hear the big numbers and we hear the big things, but we don't ever hear the perspective. And it is, when you put it like that, your April target was more than you'd earn in the whole previous year. That's a big deal, and to look back at how short the time frame was, a year ago, you're like, right, I don't know if I'm going to have a business come Christmas. I'm not sure, how I feel about it. I'm not doing things that I like. I'm spending my time on every single platform trying to do things you've been the Dotties like 8 months now. So going, I've made my entire, target in a week. It was a big target. It was more than I earned in the whole year. And I'm doing it using 2 platforms. And I'm being offered speaking gigs. And I'm going out there and working with amazing companies. And you're doing all of this amazing stuff with schools and things as well. That's not a long time to experience, massive, massive change. And it must be something you look back at and go, yeah, I'm really proud of that.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And I had lunch with my best friend a couple of weeks ago, and she said, looking at me, she sees the old me. And for me, that was a real big thing, because the old me was the person who would have a go at anything and was, loved life and was, really wanted to do everything and do it really well. But I was happy is what she meant. And, we kind of met for coffee, and I hadn't been miserable before, but there's a difference between being happy and being really happy, like content happy. And I've got to a point now in my business where I'm content happy. I don't just love what I do. I love the outcomes of what I'm doing. I love the fact that I'm earning money. I don't have a guilt around it anymore. I don't feel like it's, oh my God, I'm selling things and that's sleazy and all of that. It's like, no, actually, I'm enjoying this. And I'm at a point now where actually picking up the phone and talking to somebody to sell a workshop or sell a training process or ask for a speaking gig or whatever it might be is fun. It's not fearful anymore. And because it's fun and because I'm content happy, that's in my tone of voice, which means that I'm more positive, which means that my whole attitude when I'm talking to that person makes them want to buy from me. because I'm excitable. You know, when the lady that offered me the speaking gig, she was like, oh, I want to offer you 3 or 4 because you just sound so happy. You know, I want to just keep giving them to you. Because it was genuine kind of glee, if you like, rather than just I want to do a speaking gig this year. I've got one now, tick the list, move on to the next thing. It's not, you have to shed that suit around these things. They're not goals to be done just so that you can say, oh yeah, no, I've done a speaking gig. I did a TEDx talk, or I did this. You've got to actually really want to do these things so that when you get these offers, you get your name in a newspaper or somebody uses your quote. If you can go, oh my God, I want to tell people my quote's been used in the Daily Mail, if you want, or the Sun, or whatever it is. I'm sure other newspapers are available. But it's about kind of saying, I'm really excited by this. And if you're excited by what you've just done, you can't help but make that other person really excited by what they've just done. And then you're somebody they want to keep buying from.
100%. So just to kind of round up then, because I am, I'm absolutely 100% proud of you. You've just kind of gone from strength to strength to strength, and we've celebrated your wins in the Dotties. We've celebrated the bits that were really difficult, and we've seen you do some really difficult things and overcome some really difficult things. In all of that, what would be your biggest piece of advice for people who are listening to the podcast who perhaps think, oh well, maybe my business is where Tina's was, maybe I'm at that point where, do I really give it another go? Is it really possible for me? What's the biggest piece of advice or the biggest thing that you've learned that you think, yeah, that's what changed it for me, and that's what I'd urge you to take forward yourself?
I think that the biggest thing, I suppose, really is that you've got to stop worrying about what might work and actually put the work in to make it work. Everything can be successful. You can be successful on Facebook. You can be successful in a Facebook group, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, Pinterest. Create your own social network if you have to. But whatever it is that you're looking to do, if you don't put the work in, it isn't going to work. And whilst I was doing 100 different things, a little bit here and there, none of it was working. When I decided on who my business was for, when I decided I wanted this to work, and then when I found a place to actually put the work in, it all just changed from there. And everything that I've had has come from that one moment of just rolling my sleeves up, putting my big girl pants on and doing the hard work, which I think, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, but people don't do. When you're self-employed, It's too easy to, say, and I've said this in the Dotties hundreds of times to other people, you say you're doing the work, but you're not. You kind of are. You show up every day in the Dotties with an accountability post, you do the work. That's like visiting the head teacher every day and having to explain what you've done in your homework. You do the work. Far too many people say, I've worked really hard today and I've done all of this stuff. And you haven't. You've kind of done a little bit of a few things. You have to put the hard work in. And it isn't about working to 2 a.m. It isn't about putting your kids in childcare to do the hard work. It's just about making a list each day of what you're going to do and actually doing it.
100%. I couldn't have said it any better myself. So where can people find you? Because obviously, I am encouraging everyone to go out. There is literally nobody that deserves to win the We Are the City Rising Star award more than Tina. She's up in the education category. We're going to have the link for that in the show notes for you. But where can people find you if they're thinking, actually, I run a company, I could do with some team leadership chat, I could do with some, negotiation training or productivity training. Where can they find you?
So the best place to find me is on LinkedIn, because I have one platform now. So that's probably the better place to find me. I do have a website which has got links to all of the things that I do with the education and with the Prince's Trust and everything else. But LinkedIn is where I am daily. That's where you'll find me. That's my hangout.
That's your jam.
Yeah.
So if you want to have coffee with Tina, stalk all of her amazing content, check out the show notes, and you can go and find her on LinkedIn, connect with her over there and check out her amazing content. I was actually really, really impressed with one of the articles that you put up this morning. I was kind of looking at it. I was like, I really like that. So make sure you go through those as well, because they are phenomenal. And, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please feel free to reach out to me, to reach out to Tina. Let us know what you thought. Leave us a little review on iTunes. That's always massively, massively helpful. And if you are thinking, actually, the Dotties seems to have made a big difference to Tina, and I'd like to go and have a look at what the Dotties is like, you can click through to the application form at the bottom of the show notes and you can apply to become a Dottie. You can have a little chat with me about what it's like and whether it be the right fit for you to get you where you need to be. We'll see you in the next episode.